So today I'm driving to West Yellowstone, and we have 5 main objectives while we're there. First, we're going to go to the Grizzly and Wolf Discovery Center, then a mystery side quest, lunch, and then the Earthquake/Quake Lake Memorial Center, and another mystery side quest. I made it to West Yellowstone. Unfortunately, it is raining, but we're going to make the best of it. We then headed inside, and immediately we were greeted by this huge grizzly bear, which was super cool. And then we got to see another grizzly bear and some baby grizzly bears, which is again super cool. And we looked around the informational center for a while, but then we went outside where the main attractions were. To see a stuffed grizzly bear was very cool, do not get me wrong. But to see him out in a wildlife-ish area, interacting with other organisms, was a whole different deal. We watched these guys for a while longer, but eventually we decided to head over to the wolves, which was going to be even cooler. First, we went to the outdoors part of the wolves, and we saw them, but they were super far away, and they were looking in the windows of that building. So we walked to the building, saw a wolf on the way, which was awesome. And eventually we got inside the building, and it was crazy. These wolves were just coming up to the window and looking at us. It was like they were toying with us. These videos of these wolves are absolutely incredible, so I'm gonna stop talking and let you just watch for a minute. It was crazy how similar these guys seemed to just some big puppies. They were so playful and so cool looking. Right here, one started absolutely staring down my sister, and I tried to catch a video of it, but I was a couple seconds too late because I was overlooking at that wolf. But here it is. Just missed him. I mean, look at that. They're just big puppies. I asked my mom if we could bring home a wolf, and she said no, unfortunately. These guys were so cool, and wait a minute. Wait, stop. Enhance. Wait a second. So I have something to tell you guys. I have never figured out a color for my eyes because they're so weird looking. I have no idea what color it is. But now I know. I have wolf eyes. I mean, honestly, even up close to them, they look exactly like my eyes. I got wolf eyes, guys. I bet you're jealous, because I got the wolf eyes. We then came over here and we got some cool footage of some groundhogs and this little habitat they made for them. We then saw this vulture, which was kind of gross. Then we saw this hawk, which was awesome. And then these 2 owls. Then we walked over and we saw these 2 bald eagles, which were absolutely incredible. But then we walked inside to what I think was the coolest part of the trip. Here we saw these absolutely majestically colored trout. These rainbow trout were just insane. I mean, they were such a vibrant red. It was crazy. And right here is my favorite guy. Look at that. He just yawned at me. Watch it again. He's yawning. And then we saw these two. The yawning fish is my favorite. That guy didn't like me very much, as you can see. And then we saw these guys. One guy back there. He's a better shot of that guy. And then we saw that snake right there, which it's easier to see in the video than it was in real life. And then that frog right there. I don't know if you can see him. Comment if you can see him. And then we saw this otter. He was so playful and so awesome. He was so much fun. Just like the wolves, I was like, Mom, can we get an otter? And she had to think about that one. She was like, I mean, maybe. I'll work on it. These guys were like the puppies of the sea. I've been here before, and there have been 5 out at a time. And you could like run your hand across the glass and they would follow your hand, but unfortunately this time they just had the one guy out. It was still incredible because these guys are so fun to watch. It wasn't just me who was loving these guys either. They attracted a huge crowd. And it's just the one in the tank, so it was really hard. You had to fight for a spot. He's just so cute. Look at that. That could have been the thumbnail just as easily as the wolf could have. He's just adorable how he just peeps up above the water. And then he goes down and swims. By the way, these guys can hold their breath for 8 minutes. Isn't that insane? How do they even fit that much oxygen in that tiny little body? Then we headed back and we got another shot of the groundhogs because I didn't think I did them justice with my one little shot. So cute. Then we headed over to these trash cans, which you can pause it if you want to see closer, but these have all been torn up by bears. And these coolers, they put them in the campground and they've all been torn up. And those are cages that they give bears. And then there's a chicken, because why not put a chicken in the video? Actually, I think it's a rooster. It's my bad. And then they had this cathedral, which then they had this stuffed grizzly that was inside the cage. And then we went into the theater. And we saw this absolutely incredible film. And that crosses off the Grizzly and Wolf Discovery Center part of today. But wait, we haven't covered the mystery side quest. So we headed to the gift shop. Bet you can see where this is going. We didn't actually get the bear, but Grizzly and Wolf got it. But that's the otter that my sister got, and I got the wolf. So we checked out. Now to lunch. So we drove to our next location, and by the way, that is Coulter, named after that wolf, named Coulter, and that is Aspen, named after that otter. And that crosses off the mystery side quest. So next, we got to lunch, and I ordered the fish and chips. And of course, I had to get a root beer. Again, the root beer video is coming soon. I'm sorry, I'm working on it. Jackson Hole root beer, absolutely delicious. Then I got my fish and chips, which was delicious, as you can tell. And that crosses off lunch. So we headed to our next location, and there were these trees all over the water in here, and I'll explain that in a minute. But we headed out of the car, unfortunately, because it's still raining, by the way, as you can tell by our outfits. And we got to the Earthquake Lake Discovery Center, or Visitor Center, my bad. And they had all these stuff, but first thing I did was I filled out this little booklet, because that'll come in handy later. But I had to read all this stuff, and then I wrote down answers in my booklet. But the gist of this is there was a huge earthquake a couple years ago, as you can see, huge, and it absolutely rattled the land, and it caused a huge landslide, and the water rose, a dam almost cracked, and houses were flooded. The winds were crazy because of all the rocks rushing down the mountain. And there were few survivors, but unfortunately many people passed away in this tragic event. That's the landslide. As you can see, it's just huge. We watched a video on it. But then, to a more exciting note, I am now officially a junior geology ranger. I got a poppet and my own special badge because I am a junior geology ranger. I know, pretty awesome. And that crosses off the mystery side quest. I know we're not really doing that one in order, but that's okay. We then drove to the next part of the visitor center, and after a little walk, we got to see how huge this landslide really was. I mean, it was so big, it slid all the way up to this side of the ravine where we were. And these are the names of the people who unfortunately passed away in this tragic event. And I hope this never happens to anyone or anything again. And this was a very cool experience, but that crosses off Earthquake/Quake Lake. So we headed home. This video was super fun to make, and I hope you enjoyed seeing all those cool animals. As always, thanks for watching, and consider liking and subscribing.